On the left side of your screen, you will see their comments. On the right, the context that contradicts their claims.
There was no insurrection, and to call it an insurrection, in my opinion, is a bold-faced lie. Watching the TV footage of those who entered the Capitol and walked through Statuary Hall
and Trump
showed people
followers
in an orderly fashion
actually
staying between the stanchions and ropes taking videos and pictures. You know, if you didn't know the TV footage was a video from January the 6th, you would actually think it was a normal tourist visit.
Outright propaganda and lies are being used to unleash the national security state against law-abiding U.S. citizens, especially Trump voters. As a result, the DOJ is harassing peaceful patriots across the country.
It was Trump supporters who lost their lives that day.
What a bunch of
Trump supporters
schmucks
who
that
were
believe
taking
this.
the lives of others.
When I see this sheet on our timeline, and on the, let's see, at 2:07, a mob of Trump supporters breached the steps. I don't know who did a poll.
That's not a Trump supporter.
That is Trump supporters. You had the media saying the same thing, just like you had the media saying.
This is how stupid Republicans feel Trump supporters are. They think they're the dumbest of all Americans.
That they were Trump
so they can say this shit.
He wants a poll. He's not willing to hang his Trump hat on
Those
all
aren't
the Trump
Trump
hats
supporters.
or the Trump shirts or the Trump flags or all of the insignia of extremist groups who support Trump or their demands to overturn the election of Joe Biden. Okay, so what about the people who were arrested then for their part in the insurrection? The 400 plus people now facing charges. They are Trump supporters, and we know that. These Republicans know that. They're just lying. And while that hearing was going on, where Republicans were denying reality about what happened at the Capitol, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy was saying this.
I don't think anybody is questioning the legitimacy of the presidential election. I think that is all over with.
What is perhaps most disturbing about that remark is that he said it with a straight face. So let's look at the facts here. McCarthy booted Liz Cheney from House GOP leadership for telling the truth about the election, that Joe Biden had won. His hand-picked replacement for Cheney, Elise Stefanik, supports a sketchy as hell fourth audit of the votes in Arizona.
I fully support the audit in Arizona. We want transparency and answers for the American people. We need to fix these election security issues going into the future.
But nobody's questioning the legitimacy, according to Kevin McCarthy. Well, what about McCarthy's friend, the former president, who wrote on Monday, quote, "If a thief robs a jewelry store of all of its diamonds, the 2020 presidential election, the diamonds must be returned." And what about McCarthy himself and the many Republicans who also question the 2020 results?
President Trump won this election, so everyone who's listening, do not be quiet. Do not be silent about this. We cannot allow this to happen before our very eyes.
I have an obligation to act on this matter if I believe there are serious questions with respect to the presidential election. I believe those questions exist.
We know that this has really been a stolen election.
And an election that was stolen as a consequence of illegal last-minute changes to the rules.
I don't know how you can ever convince me that President Trump didn't actually win this thing based on all the things you see.
You know, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west unless you're Kevin McCarthy, unless you're these Republicans telling you what we hear and what we see simply didn't happen.
And they know it. That's the thing. This